I'm Danielle, and welcome to this Enchanted house. Okay, so right off the bat, I'm going to, before we get into the whole maximalism thing, I just need to make a quick statement, apology for any sound on irregularities on this video. It is a really gorgeous day out. I wanted to have all the windows open in my house. That means we're going to get some bird song, which I love. I love having the bird song in the back. It makes me feel very fairy tale. But also, I do live at an intersection. It's not a particularly busy intersection, but it always seems to get really busy when I try to record. So today we're going to talk about maximalism and how to maximalism, because it seems to be a question that comes up. I'm on a lot of decorator groups and decor groups on various social medias and such. And there are even some that are specifically dedicated to maximalism. And I'm kind of surprised that so many people have, like, questions about how to do this. Like, how do you make my house maximalism? How do I do it? How do I do it without seeming cluttered? And we're gonna get to that. So let's talk about the rules of maximalism, which I'm gonna say there's really only one rule you need to worry about, and that is to express yourself, and express yourself with your stuff, basically. I think there's this idea, and originally this was going to be a video on minimalism and grays and those trends, but there's so many people who've already kind of done those videos, and I didn't want to do something, I don't know, negative, even though they're things that really I don't like. I mean, if you like them, that's okay, that's good for you. But I have problems with them. There's people who've talked about issues in terms of socioeconomic and psychological, and there's Mina Lee has a good video on it. I'm going to post maybe some essays down below, maybe on the problems with minimalism, just so if you're not on that page yet and you want to know what my issues are, you can kind of get an idea. So maximalism has really emerged as sort of a response to this whole minimalism trend that's kind of really taken off in the 2010s and into the 2020s here. And minimalism was the thing for a while, and everything, there's a whole study that shows that, you know, not just recently, but well over time, that things have gotten far less colorful. This museum looked at all their artifacts and the color of their artifacts, and how they start off all this wide range of color, and things are just getting grayer and grayer and grayer. And Mina Lee talks about that in her video, so I'm not going to get into it too much. But with the pandemic, and I'm going to say that word because I not monetized yet, so I don't care. Theory goes that during the pandemic, all these people are stuck at home, and you're stuck in your house, and you're stuck in this boring minimalist house, and it's like, this is not good for my mental health, and this, you know, is not a place I want to be. And so we see this uptick in maximalism all of a sudden, and bright colors and lots of stuff and clutter, and yeah, so that's sort of a prevailing theory of why maximalism has kind of come back. Maximalism always, just minimalism, maximalism, all things cycle around a little bit. I mean, the 90s are very maximalist with that sort of over-the-top capitalist, you know, like, think like, you know, how, like, people talk about, like, Disney now just going a little more minimalist in their hotels when they had all these, like, fancy hotels with all this over-the-top decor and stuff. We're seeing the pendulum swing back, and people are like, well, how do I maximalism? Because they're so used to this minimalist ideas, and these minimalist values are really kind of, you know, this idea that you should feel bad for owning things. Like, it's a very weird thing, and you'd think it would, you know, go against the whole, you know, nature of our economy where people need to buy more stuff, but you have to buy minimalist stuff to replace your maximalist stuff. You have to buy stuff that's functional, and the idea is you don't keep a lot of stuff around, so if something breaks or something needs to be replaced, you have to go buy it instead of having, you know, buying a stockpile on sale. So I think we've kind of come out of this sort of uniform minimalist thing, kind of unsure of how to be ourselves. And I think that's kind of the first step, is just figure out what you like. And I kind of see this in maximalism. There's trends. Like, I love me a good gallery wall. Don't get me wrong. I just went to this bookstore, this used bookstore in Ida, and they have this, it's a beautiful store, and they have a beautiful gallery wall. They have some really funny pictures in there too. This whole thing, these really funny Van Gogh portraits. But you don't have to have a gallery wall. Likewise, I see a lot of like bold use of wallpaper. And I love me a bold wallpaper. Isn't necessary. I mean, if you like that, if you like wallpaper and you love it, that's good, but is not a requirement. And the other thing is I see a lot of tendency towards heavy dark colors, and I'm sure a lot of this is right in reaction to the whole minimalist grayish light. Everything's light and airy. But there's really nothing wrong with light and airy. Like, my living room is definitely light and airy, and it's definitely maximalist. You do not have to go dark and heavy. I love dark and heavy. I have some rooms that are dark and heavy in my house as well. But there's not like this one way to be maximalist. Maximalism is really about showing off your stuff in this form of self-expression. Everything else is just icing. So let's talk about some guidelines. And the first is color. Like I said, you don't have to be dark and heavy. You can go light. You can go bright candy colors. You can go any color palette you choose, but try to stay within a color palette. You're not picking a color scheme, you're picking a palette. You can go all the colors in that palette, and sometimes pops of brighter colors here or there, or pops of lighter colors, whatever. So if you, like, this room is honestly lots of neutrals. So it's arguable whether green is, people consider green a neutral still, but I do. And this color, there's lots of greens and browns and golds and things that feel very neutral. But this room feels bright and it feels colorful because I make sure there's points of color. There's little pops of blue, little pops of red. There's little pops of red all over the place. The second is, it's okay to have stuff. And as weird as this may sound, Marie Kondo is actually the best sort of determiner of stuff. People think of all these decluttering things as, getting rid of things and anti-maximalist, but she really kind of is if you are afraid of being cluttered, if that still kind of scares you, shouldn't scare you, clutter's fine. But her philosophy of, does it bring you joy? So if something brings you joy, you keep it. And more importantly, you don't hide it away, you have it out. Like, I love my house and I love looking around at my things because there's all these great pieces that I love and they're on display, and seeing them makes me happy and it makes my house feel enchanted. Like, I feel like I live in this little fairy tale house, even though I know it's not. It's not. Like, it feels that way. Like, when people walk into my house, I hope they feel like they've walked into maybe a little bit of a fairy tale. Style. There is no one particular style you have to stick to. For maximalism, style is all the styles, and you can pick whatever styles you want, combine them however you want. You do not have to stick to one thing. You do not have to stick to you can take your mid-century modern, combine it with some Victorian, combine it with some classical, throw in, a little bit of 90s or 80s kitsch, 70s kitsch, whatever combination you want. Like, just looking behind me, I've got my wonderful gothic-y Halloween bugs. I've got some really cute cottagecore stuff. My statue's very classical. This is Art Nouveau. All over the place, but the idea is to find things that work together with yourself and what themes you have for yourself. So I've talked about my aesthetic being Ghibli-core, which combines things like cottagecore and witchcore and steampunk and dark academia, and you kind of see little bits of that all even behind me. But all throughout my house, like, those things are present no matter what room I'm in. The next thing is, well, I don't have a lot of stuff. Where do I get stuff? And the truth is, over time is the easiest way. Collecting things you like. If you see something that catches your interest and fits in your budget, get it and put it on display. I spent the past couple years doing two things. estate sales and Etsy. I have a video on some videos on estate sales, and if you follow me on Instagram, I usually, when I go to an estate sale, I'll post whatever I buy there. And sometimes I just buy a couple little things, but then they get tucked into the shelves and you can kind of see them all over the place, and it's really cute. I actually do have to hang a bunch of stuff up. That maybe will be another video we'll see here. We'll talk about doing maybe how to actually do a gallery wall, like how I do it, because mine are always in progress. But yeah, so estate sales, you always find, I don't know, like I always find such really neat, unusual stuff at estate sales. And this is supposed, garage sales and stuff are good too, and secondhand sales, but something about estate sales where you're kind of exploring a person's life, and you see all these facets of their life, and you find something maybe you have in common with that person. And the other is Etsy. And I'm going to say not just Etsy, but also look for places that do handcrafts and have markets, craft fairs in your local area. Those are really great to attend. You can find some really great local artists, but also Etsy, and finding homemade stuff and artists. And I've got these great little planters I just bought, and I'll put the shop down below if you guys are interested. And I've got, you know, some great original art around my house. Those are the two. You know, if you're looking for stuff that's different, that's unusual, that's eccentric, because I think that's maybe kind of, when we think about maximalism, is really the best examples of it are people who are expressing their personalities, and they're always kind of eccentric, and I think that appeals to people. I think the other thing is there's a lot of, like, how do I display this? And the truth is, you play with it. You have fun with it. You go out and arrange things and rearrange things. When you get new things, you can move things around. There is something about having like with like having collections together, that really works. If you're afraid of having too much stuff, so I think there's also this fear, because we were coming out of it, that, oh, the clean lines and stuff, but won't it feel cluttered? Well, I think we've kind of given clutter a really bad rap, and I've kind of talked about that before. Here's the thing. You can start putting stuff out. Start filling in spaces. Start filling in those blank spaces. Start, like, if you look at a picture of my fireplace when I first started doing these videos, as opposed to now, after just a couple of years, it's such a difference, and it feels so much more alive and so much more interesting to look at. If you feel like it's too much, the thing is you can always pull it back if it feels like it's too much for you. But you'd be surprised, there's like this tipping point where suddenly that too much becomes like something magical happens when you have like if I have 10 little figures, it's cute, it's kind of fun. But if I have 100 or 500 or 1,000, they're all crammed together, there's something that happens where it kind of just takes on this sort of magic of its own, where it's like it transforms into something just so whimsical. And I think if you're thinking about maximalism, I think those are the key words to take away, are eccentric and whimsical, because that's what this is. And that's why when I talk about being enchanted, I think maximalism just goes along with being enchanted. I'm not saying you can't be a minimalist and be enchanted, but there's something about creating something out of nothing. Like, nothing is interesting of itself. It's a start. Like, it feels like it, but it always feels like it could be more. And when it gets to be more, it's so exciting. thoughts on how to be a maximalist. There's so much more. There are a lot of decor groups out there you can join. I'll maybe post one of my favorites down below. So I'd really love to hear from you guys. What do you guys do to make your house maximalist? What do you do to make your wardrobe maximalist? Because I didn't even talk about wardrobe, and I'm trying to knock, you know, the big hair bow and stuff. I mean, I love dressing what they call over the top, OTP. Over the no, okay, OTP. OTP is one true pairing. OTT. OTT is over the top, and I love doing that, especially for like when I'm dressing up steampunk or going to an event, or you know, some days you just want to be that extra. But yeah, how do you guys express your maximalism? What kind of, you know, styles are you into? How do you combine them? What color palettes do you like? What techniques have you found to display things? So yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys. Love to hear your questions, your thoughts. Leave me comments below. If you like this video, please give it a like. Maybe share it. Share my other videos. If you really like what I'm doing here, please check out my other videos, of course. And if you like those, subscribe to keep up with the latest and the greatest. You can also catch up with me on social media. I'll have links to Instagram, Facebook, and Tumblr down below. I hope you guys have an enchanted day, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!